Back when I was studying martial arts, going up through the belt colors in what I now teach, it wasn't unusual to go to a class where you might just do basic techniques up and down the floor, standing in place. And we don't do a ton of that anymore. And I'm talking you could use an hour and a half just working on low blocks, punching, going up and down the floor. Just lots of repetition of those basics. And that's good for some things. It's not ideal for others. We've taken a more hands-on approach at the academy nowadays in the sense of I always try to create drills where students are interacting with each other that directly apply to the sport side of fighting or the self-defense side of fighting, whatever you want to call it, but where they can actually take what they're working on and be able to use it right away or understand where it fits in use. This is different from the traditional approach where you're just really refining your movement. It's this perfection of form that sort of an obsession in traditional training. Some people really enjoy that, some people don't. Now with the new all the restrictions that we're using here at the academy to try to help keep people as safe as possible during COVID, I've got zones. So you have students have their own little workout spot where they practice their basics, where they're either just doing the techniques in the air or they're using a heavy bag. So there's no partner interaction at this point, just working in your own zone. And of course that limits what we can do in the training. But remember that limitation is what affords you opportunity to really zero in on something. So a martial arts style in itself the whole point of it is to exclude lots of options. So there's many types of things you can do in martial arts. You can work with weapons, you can work with group tactics, you can work with grappling on the ground, grappling standing, striking with your hands, striking with your feet, striking with your knees, your elbows, all sorts of different things. And there's no way for anyone to do all of it. It's just impossible. It's too broad. So what a martial arts style does is it focuses in on a few areas of combat and allows you to get really good at those. Taekwondo is known for getting people really good with kicking. And we also, of course, work with striking with the hands as well. And I think it also specializes in movement in that it really helps students kind of maintain a safe distance and understand that spacing more than a lot of styles. So it really keys into those things. Now, if we strip it down even more, what we end up with is an opportunity to work on our awareness of our body in space. So how are you moving when you do each of these techniques? How are you stacking your muscles? How are you lining everything up? It kind of goes in line with things that you'll work on if you're doing physical therapy to rehabilitate from an injury or something. It's great for body awareness, and it's a skill that you can keep with you for all of your life. It's very valuable. Now, I understand many people won't be interested in the kind of repetition that it takes to gain that, where you're basically staying in one spot and working on refinement. It's not as exciting, as fighting with another person, engaging in that partner practice. But it has a lot of rewards in its own right. You just have to put in the time and the effort, and I think right now is a great time to do that. We've spent a lot of time working on how to incorporate things in a live setting. Now is a great time to really understand your own body, how you're moving in space, how you're functioning as you're doing these techniques. So I ask you, rather than try to cling to what could be in a class, well, this is not a class as I am used to. View every training session as an opportunity to learn something new about yourself, not as an opportunity to be entertained. Of course, you want to enjoy what you're doing. That's why I think ultimately why most people come to classes is because they enjoy it. But it's not going to look like it did, at least at the moment, until we can get back to a little bit more normalcy. So you can reject what it is now, but you're going to miss out on some really good opportunities. And like I say, what we're doing right now under these kind of safety provisions is very similar to the training that I came up on a lot of times, and that is still prevalent in a lot of schools and a lot of styles. So yeah, use this opportunity to key into something that we don't normally key into. If you're a parent of a student who maybe says, class just isn't the same, it's kind of boring right now, I don't want to go, try to have this talk with them. Tell them that it's going to be very good for the long run of their martial arts training, in the sense that they're going to gain an understanding of themselves and how they move better during this time than any other time. So let's look at the positive, let's not dwell on the negative, and let's get the most we can out of the format we're using right now. Things will return to normal, it will happen, and classes will be as they used to. We'll continue to make the training we're doing right now as fun as possible, but like I say, try not to be stuck in the mud as to what you think a class should be. Try to gain the most you can out of every experience in the martial arts.